Hello everyone, and welcome to Bill's Retro Gaming Show. On today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the new Street Fighter II Deluxe Cab from Arcade1Up. A few weeks back, during Amazon Prime Day, Arcade1Up surprised us by stealth releasing both the Street Fighter II Deluxe Cab and the Galaga Deluxe Cab through a third-party partner on Amazon. Not only that, but they released it at a special price of $399.99 for the duration of the Prime Day sales. So, I decided to jump on that offer and pick this up. Now, it's selling for the standard price of $499.99, and it's available from several retailers. This new Street Fighter Cab is part of Arcade1Up's new Deluxe line, meaning it doesn't come with a riser, and it's actually a few inches taller than their previous cabs that came with risers. This version is made to replicate the look of the Dynamo HS-5 cabinet design, a design used by several arcade machines including Street Fighter II Champion Edition. If you've ever seen this cabinet in an arcade, one look at the Arcade1Up version and the design is instantly recognizable. Now, I think they've done a great job at emulating the look of the cab, and while the artwork may not be as colorful as last year's Yoga Flame Shindu Hadouken versions, it is much more accurate to the arcade originals. The Marquee matches the arcade version of Street Fighter II Champion Edition, and is well lit and looks fantastic. However Arcade1Up is producing these new marquees, they need to keep doing it because this one looks great. The monitor is a 17-inch screen and comes from the BOE line of monitors. The colors look bright and vivid, and you'll have no issues looking at this screen from any angle. The bezel around the monitor matches the arcade version, and luckily, this year's includes all 12 characters. Oddly enough, last year's versions were missing Dalzim from the bezel, which is particularly odd when you consider one of the models, Yoga Flame, was named after one of his moves. But this year's version sees him return to the bezel. If I had to make one critique, it's the fact that one of the screws holding the bezel in place goes right through Chun-Li's cheek. Poor Chun-Li. Above the monitor are two speakers, covered by speaker grills. I like this look better than the behind-the-panel speaker with holes. I don't know if it helps the sound, but it looks cool. In any case, I had no issues with the sound on this cab. They've done some unique things with the control panel on this one. First off, the control panel is angled down, similar to some of their other recent releases, which makes it very comfortable to play. What's not included here is a deck protector. Instead, Arcade1Up has chosen to go with a scratch-resistant coating on the panel. The front is a plastic piece that sticks out slightly and tapers in on the side. This again is meant to mimic the look of the Dynamo cab, and overall, I think they did a nice job with it. Some people have been concerned that there's a color difference between the main panel and the bottom piece. And looking at it on camera, you can notice a slight difference. And this color difference is most likely due to the fact that the front piece is all plastic, while the control panel itself is wood with a coating over it. But if you're like me and your game room stays dimly lit most of the time, you won't really be able to tell at all. And in my playtime on the cab, at least so far, I felt that resting my hands on the panel and playing has been very comfortable. I don't feel like I'm hitting the seam between the panel and the bottom piece. It doesn't feel like it interferes with the gameplay at all. Moving down, they have again included a molded coin door here. Gone are the days of games lists or sticker coin doors. Now, if I had to make a few criticisms, it would be A, that the coin door seems a little low compared to an actual arcade machine. They should have moved it closer to the top of the front panel. And B, I really wish they would just make the buttons light up on all of their cabs. They've done it for a few of the non-XL machines, and I just wish it was the standard for all the new deluxe models. It would have just added a little bit extra realism to the cab. The last thing I want to mention in terms of the cab's build is that they've started to include screw caps with these new deluxe models. It's a small detail, but one I'm glad they've finally done. It just makes the whole build look cleaner. Moving around the menus can be a little tricky at first, as there are a few different menus you can get into. Now first, you'll notice a gear on the screen under the selected game. This gear gets you into the main menu, which handles things like network setup and system updates. It's the same menu regardless of what game is showing on screen. If you want to get into the individual menus for each game, you'll need to press the Player 2 button, and this will show you the menu options for whichever game you have selected. Now, these options give you things like difficulty settings, number of lives, bonus levels, and you can set demo sounds on or off, and turn on or off scan lines for all of the games. And finally, in the upper left-hand corner of the screen, you'll be able to get to your account settings. Here, you can set your nickname and avatar picture. Before I get into showing off a little gameplay for each of the 14 included games, there's just a couple of other things that I want to mention. First off, this machine includes the same games as last year's Yoga Flame Shindo Hadoken version. In fact, it appears to be the exact same PCB running this machine as last year's model, so if you're familiar with the gameplay and gameplay issues from those models, you'll find it's exactly the same with this one. Speaking of issues, Super Street Fighter II Turbo still seems to have the same issue where a black box appears during the attract mode, and pressing a button will cause zeros to appear in the box. Now, it doesn't impact gameplay, but for those who are wondering if this was still a thing in these new models, the answer is yes. And lastly, and this may just be OCD on my part, but why is the first game that comes up Super Street Fighter II Turbo? The marquee on this game is Street Fighter II Champion Edition. In my opinion, that should be the first game on the list. It's not like the rest of the games are in any special order, by year or alphabetical or anything like that, so I would think the first game should be the one on the marquee. But now that I've got that off my chest, here's some gameplay from the 14 included games.
Round 2, fight!
So for my final thoughts, as my first of the deluxe models from Arcade1Up, I have to say I really do like this one. It's not perfect, but then nothing ever is. But overall, I'm very pleased with my purchase, and I'm going to enjoy playing on this cab. It remains to be seen how well these new decks without the plastic protection hold up, so I may revisit this in a few months, but beyond that, and the few minor things I pointed out throughout this review, I am impressed. So to wrap things up, let me say this. This cab is essentially the same as last year's Capcom Legacies in terms of games list and functionality. So if you already own either the Yoga Flame or Shindo Hadouken version, I really can't recommend a compelling reason to upgrade to this version. Unless you really like the new form factor, there's no other changes to make it worthwhile. But if, like me, you don't own those, then I would say this is the better model to get. That is, unless you find a really good deal on last year's models. But I think that's going to cover it for this review. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do that too. Bye for now, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.